The ship had a concealed hull that made perfect sense, as I'm sure the luxury yacht could transport a couple of vehicles and all sorts of other items for setups and breakdowns of the various party configurations. I sat there with the cats and stared at the door with him. This was common for cats to do, and I had determined many years ago that I like to stare at doors as well, as if you could simply will them to open somehow. Just about when I had got up the nerve to knock at the door, I heard something horrible come over my comms. It sounded like kill, 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 die, die, die. I heard it in stereo though, despite me only having one earpiece in. I heard it coming through the wall as well. I took a step back from the door really quick involuntarily and bumped into the wall behind me. I had forgot there was a wall behind me. The cat got startled and started trying to get in. The door opened for a second and the cat darted in, and then the door closed. I started trying to think of something to say to the guy behind the door. But every time I tried to talk, there was more ridiculousness over the comms. Kill, die, kill, die. I told them in between their ranting. Assuming it was a him. Those guys aren't with me. I don't want them to have the ship. If you want to come help, now's your chance. I set off up the stairs to the left so I could hopefully get to the bow outcropping on the second floor. Hopefully they were idiots and announced themselves really far away, thinking they were super scary. Probably trying to terrify the poor unarmed guy and an additional new guy, maybe. Probably figured the new person on the boat was someone who can defend themselves from a few unprepared scouts. Sounded like two idiots, as the first broadcasted more bullcrap about killing and dying. I got about halfway up the stairs and heard the door open and a wait. I turned around to see a guy that seemed a little younger than me starting to follow me. He saw me turn, and then he stopped, a little startled. He said, "I want to help. I don't want them boarding this ship ever again. Ever again." I used the emphasis and then tucked the thought away for later. So, without hesitation, I said, "I'm going to give you my backup. That sound groovy?" He nodded back. I lifted my shirt and began to hand him my backup sidearm that I had concealed. I didn't know where the pirates or whoever they were on the ship, but if they had already boarded the ship, I wanted my new companion to be armed as soon as possible. "You know how to shoot at all?" I asked, trying to sound as respectful as possible. He said, "My friend had taken me to the range a few times. I know the basics." "Okay, let's go," I said. He responded, "There's still a way out. They like to taunt as they're coming in to be scary." That made sense. The radio could reach out pretty far on the open ocean, and bullies aren't ones for sneak attacks when they think they have the upper hand already. "Let's go meet them up on the second floor on the outcropping. We can try to hold them there and retreat if we need to. That doesn't give us the best cover, but it gives us the best range and keeps us away from the vitals of the ship. We can crawl out there and maybe they won't see us because they'll be expecting us up high, since that's traditionally understood as the best place to defend from." I figured most people would want to use the other person as bait, but I never used anyone as bait. It was a horrible thing to do. He maybe even thought I would use him as bait, but I wouldn't. I showed him it was loaded by the indicator. Flopped the grip safety a few times and emphasized the webbing of the hand covering the grip safety, then handed it over. He kept the pistol in a safe direction and his finger off the bang switch, so I wasn't going to worry about it too much. If he backstabbed me at this point, there wasn't much I could do anyway. I needed to be able to earn his trust and fight off the pirates. Plus, I had a chance to look into his eyes, and his first priority was to save his ship, and the biggest threat was the pirates. I had imagined that the ship was a giant gun-free zone, so he didn't have the guns. Maybe he had a knife at the most, and that was it. A knife wasn't enough to fight off a whole boarding party without other skills, that's for sure. It was possible that he was lying and had gone through some form of basic training in the military, but he didn't quite have the right posture or confidence, unless he was really good at what he did and was faking it, but that was thinking way too far. I didn't see any micro expressions in his face at all. We both nodded, and up we went. Chapter 15. Resisting Pirate Scouts. Dawn, Day 2. We ran through the gaming entertainment room and ran through the dancing entertainment room. We saw 2 jet skiers coming in from a far-off island at that point. They were maybe 400 meters away or so. I dropped my backpack inside and told him to turn his radio off and told them we needed to come around so they wouldn't see. The sun was just cresting the Cascades in the east, and it was finally possible to see outside again for the first time since last night when I first entered the Anastasia. My counterpart then took the lead and showed me how to unlock the door, and then he went outside first. I noticed he went outside first. That was very nice of him. I would have actually preferred to have gone first, but I understood why he did it. I tapped his shoulder and did the hand motion to drop down. We both crawled out to the outcropping onto the second floor. We crawled our way out to where we had a good lineup on the 2 incoming pirates. I got my AR out, flicked the lens cap off, and turned on the red dot. I flicked off the safety with my finger still off the trigger. With that, my counterpart got his pistol out. My pistol that I had given him. I whispered to him we would need to wait until they got closer. This was both to help them become more than shadows and so they would be a bit easier targets. My pistol was only started to get decently accurate at a little over 100 meters. I could do 300 meters fairly well with my AR and my budget red dot sight. I didn't have a magnifier on it, but that's because it screwed with my eyesight and glasses really bad. Some people thought I was dumb for that, but those people were wrong for my specific situation. I wasn't going to get migraines and vertigo over an optic choice that I could train around. The 2 pirate scouts had closed in about 350 meters at this point. They were looking up and nowhere near us, which is exactly what I wanted. We were more or less in a shadow, which meant the brain would scan right past us when trying to find us. When they got in around 325 meters or so, they started zigzagging. I let out a sigh. Apparently they had done this before, or were just showing off. I wasn't sure. It didn't matter. I let them get in at about the 200-yard range and whispered, "Fire in the hole," and exhaled. My counterpart whispered back and said, "Send it," which almost made me chuckle and lose my breath. I wasn't focused in at this point, though, and led the shot a little bit high and forward to get their attention. My red dot being a little bit smaller than their silhouette is the best way to judge distance. I was hoping I was choosing the one that was the least trained and confident out of the 2. I took the shot and it was a little high and to the right as the jet skier started coming well within the 175 meter range or so. He paused to look. Instead of taking evasive maneuvers, the pirate would have heard the bullet zinging by and then the bang. Most untrained people froze when they got shot at, trying to analyze instead of getting off the X. Clearly he was confused as to where that shot could have come from and marking at the audacity that someone would shoot at them. I slightly adjusted as he stopped moving, and as to where my shot had been off, I took windage into account, leveled my rifle right on target, and squeezed off 5 rounds. Starting up a bit and below him, and then I used the recoil to climb my way up. Every half breath. The pirate went down, as did his jet ski as he came into the 150 meter range. I went to find his pirate buddy to already see that he had circled and was on his way out of the 250 meters and on at an angle. It wasn't that I couldn't hit that, I just didn't want to waste the ammo. I knew I would need every bullet. I did a tactical reload, popped my mag out, put in a new mag, and got back on the original target. He was leaving a bloody trail in the water, straight towards the ship as he tried to swim towards it. I suppose he thought we would try to take him prisoner or some strange thing. The cold water would close up those wounds, and we would waste valuable resources trying to save him, and who knows what other kinds of chaos. It would be in time for his buddies to come and rescue him and do who knows what to us, or he could bail with intel after we fixed him up too, who knows. I looked over to my right, and my counterpart had my pistol leveled at the pirate. What are your thoughts? I said. He can't be allowed on the ship, he responded. So I said, well, from this far out with no wind, that pistol's going to be putting rounds within the size of a car window or so. Sounds good, he responded. I said, ready or not, fire when you're ready. He responded, shooter ready. The next few minutes were spent range practice on the pirate in the water. The first few rounds didn't dissuade the pirate at all. I was trying to figure out the psychology of the whole situation. Was he even more angry at us? Did he think he was going to board and kill us? Did he honestly think that he was going to parlay? What a joke.